first time out. We've been 100 yards up the road, well maybe 500 yards up the road. Very first time he's single. He's been out in a pair, and I'm just absolutely over the moon with him. You know, the way he's coping with it. Well, so if I asked him to come over now, come over baby, come on. See him sidestep, look. And that's the gate, remember that, for him to go in. Come on. See him cross his legs over. Stand still, baby, there's a good boy. Stand. Now, if you put the camera over there, we can see that his mate's over there in the corner, still on the pairs vehicle. We just want him to stand now and accept the fact he cannot go back to his mate. There's no call in between them, but he's saying, look, my friend's there, I need to go and see him. But he needs to just do what I'm asking him to do. So you can see he's going to go up on his hind legs, he's going to hop and skip maybe, but nothing too drastic, and we'll just keep him here until he settles. No hollering, no shouting, no screaming, no yanking his mouth. You see the reins are slack. Yep. So he's just thinking, what do I have to do in this thing then? I'm out here on my own doing this, something's gone wrong here. I should have my mate here with me, yeah? Come over, babe. Come on. So I've moved him up again. You see him striking the ground. Right, banging the gate, he wants to go in. So just stand here now, he sees his mate, see him looking at him, he wants to be back. So he has to learn. So the other horse is not calling him, and this horse left the yard perfectly well. So this is training. So he's got to stand there, and there's no point in screaming and shouting and smacking him and giving. Did you see me pull the reins at all? No. What I've done is I've just put the brake on, because obviously I don't want him backing it out into the traffic. Directly behind us, was right on the edge of the road, so just going to stand there like that. And when he relaxes and accepts the fact, yeah, and if he goes up on his hind legs, he just lifted his feet off the ground. He might go right up in a minute when he gets even more cross. He's now just helping the farrier out. He's wearing his shoes out as fast as he can. So yeah. So he's just learning. So there wasn't a separation issue, and he's gone down the road and he's done it nicely. Now what I might do in a minute, I don't know yet. You make the decisions as you go along when you're training, because obviously you've got to go with the horse really when the horse is at the right. So if he settles now and he's quiet, and we can count to 2 or 3 minutes of him standing, certainly 60 seconds, a minute of him standing reasonably comfortably and happily, I'll be fine. I'll be happy with that, and I'll let him go in. If not, I will drive him up the road again, and I'll come back, put him in the same position. So he's saying, come on, let's get out of here. But I want to get this off. I want to go and see my mate. You see, I told you he'd go up in the air, didn't I? So there he goes up in the air. That's all right. I'll just leave him like that. If you don't hear me, I mean, I'd sooner, rather than be talking to you, be quiet. Yeah, but he's not really listening to me. He would if I spoke to him, change the tone of my voice, he'd listen to me. But he's not there at the moment. And all he's got is in soft rubber bit in his mouth. And he's just saying, what are we doing here? I want to go and see my mate. You're stopping me. So he's like a little toddler having a tantrum, if you like. And he's only a youngster. So I've just got my brake on so he can sit in the britching a bit, and he doesn't, you know, jackknife this vehicle. What he could do, yeah, he could push it back with the brakes on, that wouldn't be a bother to him. But now he's standing. So he might go again, yeah. See him want to go up on his hind legs, look, I'll jump over this gate, I'll do this, I'll do that. But smacking him and shouting and screaming is going to do no good whatsoever. You've just got to sit here and have the patience of a saint and just say to him, stand still, baby. And that's all we got to do, yeah? He's going to have a look back at me in a minute and think, look, I told you, didn't I? Look back at me and say, what are you doing? don't you understand what I want? Yes, I do, but you can't do what you want, unfortunately. Stand still, baby. Good boy. I don't want to be saying that to him. I don't want to be talking to him too much. Constantly saying, there's a good boy, there's a good boy. Well, stand. So you can see that he's just gone forward a couple of steps there. So I haven't got the brake on massively. You know, I'm not locked him in that position. I could put the front and back brake on. But I don't do that. So I just let him till he'll stand reasonably quiet. Then he would have learnt the lesson we're asking him to take on board, aren't we? Stand still. Come over a bit. Whoa, stand. So there, you see, so he's listening to me. Doesn't make any sense to him, does it? We're back here. We've never done this before. We've never stopped here waiting about at the gate. Normally you pull the string, the gate opens, the bell rings, in we go. Not today. So all of this is a big, big lesson. One of the biggest lessons you'll ever have. And it's really, a lot of people would say, nothing to do with driving. This is everything to do with driving. This is exactly, I don't want to say anything about any other trainers or anyone, what anyone else does, but this is training. Exactly what we're doing now. Putting them between the shelves is not much at all. Anybody can do it. And this could be done by anybody. But I suppose the advantage I have is, you know, a lot of years of experience. But he's now standing, isn't he? But I haven't smacked him. I haven't smacked him in the gob with a big lump of iron and a curb chain on, breaking his bloody jaw, putting a tremendous amount of pressure, or as I call it, pain, which is what it is, and hurting him. He's got a soft bit of rubber, and I've never pulled the reins once. I just sit here with the reins resting on my knee like that. So when he moves forward, he walks onto the bit. So he's back in the bridging now. You can see the traces are loose. When he moves forward, like now, he's just went to move forward. Just put a bit of weight. You can feel the weight directly on his mouth. Yeah. Now he will stand there. If it takes 2 hours, we will stand here. We don't need to go down the road. When I said I'll take him down the road, that would be if he kept rearing, where he's got a possibility of hurting himself, you know, striking that gateway in front of him, catching his foot or his leg. I'd sooner take him up the road, bring him back, place him where I want him, so he's off the public highway, and but the gate's still shut and he's still got to stand there. Just, in other words, reposition him. But I don't want to move him away, because if I move him away, in one sense, he's won the argument because he hasn't stood still. Now, he might not be going where he wants to go. Now, you don't hear me saying to him, there's a good boy, steady, 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 there's a good, no, that, I don't need that. That ain't going to help him. He's got to arrive working it out himself that he's got to stand here. So each time he's doing this, it's getting less. The period of time between him showing off or getting cross becomes longer. But he's having the patience of a saint, and that's why you can never say. So when I say to people sometimes, he's had half an hour lesson out of 24 hours, but that half an hour lesson would be worth 3 hours driving, you know, or can be, according to what you're teaching him. So I'm just teaching him that please do what I've asked you to do, but I'm not smacking him, I'm not hitting him. He's still only got a soft piece of rubber in his mouth, and he's just standing there. And he's now looking back at me, and he's looking at this thing's stuck on my sides. I'm sick of this. Get it off. I want to go in, I want to see me mate, go and have some A-leads, and have me tea and everything like that. Now I don't mind if we don't get the other horse in single today. We just come back from driving a pet, him and his mate. So if we don't get him in the other one in single, I don't care. this is the one we've got to get right first. And when he settles down, and when will I know when he's settled down? Well, what normally happens is, or what I want to see happen, is him rest a back foot. So drop his hip and rest. Actually, at the moment in time, he is doing that to a certain extent. If you look at his hip and the line of them, he's got 1 foot forward, so he's resting it. But what I want to see him do is pick it up, rest it on his toe, and stand there like that. Because there is no horse on the face of this earth, if he's got a back foot rested and standing on his toe, in that moment in time, he's going nowhere. He has accepted the fact that he's got to stand there, or he's decided to stand there. So that's what we're going to do. So no pulling on the mouth, nothing like that. It does take I know I have a great deal of experience, so I understand that. And you see, all of this is, you know, we don't know what else to do. But if he'll come quite... So although I have a great, you know, deal of experience, I can also read horses. I can, you know, and that's just come from years and years and years of being interested in what I do. And I'm sorry, when I'm talking to you, my first priority is this horse. So I might wander a bit in what I'm saying. So if you notice, are we winning? Yes, I think we are. So and some horses like this, like he's kicking these stones back, and they'll hit your cart, you know, and they'll make a noise, and they'll stop while it makes the noise and wonder what the noise is, you know, they've created, yeah. So there he is again. So we haven't got the rearing, we haven't got the plunging, we've just got the pouring. So all the elements involved in this, or his behaviour, you know, he does, you know, rearing, plunging forward, I'll jump over the gate, I'm not putting up with this, has come back down to now pouring the ground. And when he stops that and he stands there with his leg at rest, then we'll open the gate and he can go through. And you know, this could take a long time. Might be in the next 5 minutes, could be in the next hour. And this is another thing now, when this foot is lifted, yeah, what I've learnt over the years, that foot is lifting, don't actually strike the ground, yeah. That is, you know, do I want to keep banging the ground or not, or is it doing any good if I do that? Let's try this other foot, you know. I can more or less tell you what he's going to do. As I said to you just a little while ago, he's going to go up on his hind legs, well, sure enough he did. Done it twice, you know. Now there's all sorts of things I could do to stop him doing this. Here, look at him, look back at me now, look. He looked back at me and go, come on, that's enough filming, let's go in. I want my tea, I want my bit of hard grub, I like that pony mix you give me, I'll have that, I'll have some. Stand up. So I just check him then, because he can't move away, because he said, alright, well if we ain't going to stand here, we'll go up there. So we'll still stand here and put his head back round, just shorten this round a tiny bit, just to put his head round there, so he can see his mate. Come over, come over, come over. Whoa. Come over, come back, come over, come over, come over, come on, come over. That's it, stand there. Just turn his head so he can see his mate. See, it'd be easy to turn his head away so he can't see his mate. Hoping that would take the problem away, but the problem would be there the next time his mate's standing there. And these are good buddies, these two. I mean, when they first come, you couldn't separate them without them screaming and shouting. The other thing we have to be careful of, the other reason I would move, is when horses doing this, pouring the ground like this, especially when they're freshly shod, yeah, and they've got some weight on everything, you've got to be careful that they don't go and bang their own leg, you know, bang their other leg. So you might see me just adjust him over for that reason, you know. Come over there, come over, come over, come over, stand still. I'll put him back exactly where he is with a rubber bit. And if you don't believe me, please do what I asked you to do. Put the bit on there. Put your thumb up in the air. Keep your thumb up in the air. Put the bit there. The curb chain underneath. And then give it a little twist. And when they say pressure and release, you'll find it's pain and release. Not pressure, because it hurts. And that, them bones in your forearm represent horse's mouth very well, really. You know, a small skin layer over here, not much flesh. Same at the bottom, you've got the bone. You put that on there, keep your thumb up in the air like that, and you'll have your hand in the right place. Just give it a little twist like that. You'd be surprised how much that hurts. And in their dear little mouth, which is very, very tender, because it's covered up all the time, it's moist the whole time. It's not like your arm that's out in the sunlight and it's roughed and scuffed about, you know, when you're doing stuff, gardening or whatever you're doing, you know. So their skin on their little bars is very, very tender, and it's massed with nerves underneath. Just read your books and have a look. So when they say pressure and release, it's pain and release, in my opinion. Anything I say, what other people do is up to them. But in my opinion, that's what it is. And if you put it on your arm, how can it be any different when it's in a horse's mouth and you see people yanking back on them? No good. Just sit there like that, relax, and just, that's why, like, people, you know, that people come from all over the world to come and spend a day here. And they literally do. We've had them from Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America, South Africa, I think, Europe, and they come and spend a day because they can't believe what I can do with a soft rubber bit. It's because I'm communicating with the horse and I'm saying, no, I'm sorry, we've got to stand here, you know, and I'm out here with you, I'm not leaving you here, I'm just saying you've got to stand here because that's what I'm asking you to do. And if you stand there for a minute, quietly, without pouring the ground, then we'll go through. Then it's not a case of me winning, it's a case of working together and him doing what I've asked him to do, not what I've forced him to do. You've not seen me smack him with a whip, have you, like I've seen people do with that blue water pipe, give him a good hiding. That's bloody good horsemanship, isn't it? Or they've got a big Liverpool with a curb chain in and yank his head off, so-called horseman. Whoa, stand. So, if he wants to do it, let him carry on. But we will win this argument, and that's the only two things, as I say, if you got yourself in a position like now, right, banging the gate, yeah? So I should let him bang the gate a few times, just to let him understand that it's not going to open. You know, that's come over, come over, come over, come over. Well, I'll just bring him back enough. But if you look now, reel just filmed behind, you can see a back wheel's just on the edge there. Now when he relaxes and he accepts the fact that he's going to stand here and he puts his leg at rest, and Ree's just indicating to me now, she can see from her position better than I can, he's just indicating to me it looks like he's almost there. And when he's there, then lovely, we'll go through the gate. So you've seen him strike the gate, you've seen him stand on his hind legs, not very high, I've had them go up a lot higher than that, where they can put their feet over the front gate, you know. I mean, obviously you position them in the best way you can, and but he's standing pretty quiet now. Do we let him get away with this? Do we say that's enough? Not really. I'm not really happy yet, and it's not been a long enough period of time. That's one thing about, I know I'm 300 years old and these mobile phones are you know, lots of modern things are marvellous things, aren't they? Stand still. So now I'm going to say to him, stand still. Right. But that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say that'll do, don't do that, don't do this. I'm not going to say that. I'll just tell him to stand still. So yeah, so you can see he's gradually getting better and better. Yeah, he's not finished yet by any means, and he could have a major tantrum. That's not impossible, but the ironical thing is, the more they
1 or 2 minutes.
just leave it ticking, you know.
Oh,
You know, just leave it going round so the clock's going. I can see it's counting minutes and seconds. Yeah. So what Ree's just done for me is just put that on there, counting the seconds away and like that. So now's the time. I'll just leave that by the side of me, and I'll see how long I can get of him standing still. Because we're more or less there, you know. We just want to get that right. So he's not kicked back. Some of them will kick back. A lot of people would say, why don't you tell him to stop that? Because it's not time yet. He won't communicate with me the way I want him to. So this is a massive, massive lesson. That's it. And I don't care if he digs a trench outside the gate, we'll fill it in. What we've got to do, and it's not a case of, you know, people say, you know, I won the day. Well, it is a victory, I suppose, and his training. But I don't like to look at it like that. We've come to an agreement that this is how it's going to be. So, if we start it now, we're at 1 minute 20. And we started now, so we've got to forget about 1 minute 20 and see what it is after that. So if we can get 2 minutes 20, we might go through the gate. But it all depends how quiet he is. I don't want him moving his head or anything. I just want him to stand there like a soldier. If we do that, we'll be over the moon. And then we might move. So there we're back. So we look at the thing again, then we go, right, that's on 2 minutes now. And now we're having the back legs. This is the next thing they do. You know, they bring the old something, you know, have a little kick out with their back leg. That's another reason we always have the shafts so long when we're training horses. We have them massively long, you know, so that if he does have a little kick back out of temper or whatever. So now we're doing the old windmill, as I call it, round and round with his head. Don't know what else to do. He's going to run out of ideas in a minute, hopefully. And there, see what I'm saying with the back leg? People will. We have a big waiting list for horses to come in and like that. See this now, like, make me laugh. You know, some of the things they come up with doing. We've got another one who puts his head up in the air like a camel and rolls his lips back, and you know, does something. You know, someone else will swish their tail. Someone else put their ears back. You know, just put them back right down their neck because it's a cross. You know, or something. But we'll just keep sitting here like that until he accepts it. So we've looked at the time now, so we're nearly up to a minute of him standing quiet on my clock. So I've got to get up to 4 minutes. And And I suppose this is why, I mean, it would be better, much, but, you know, there's less effort going into doing this now. Started off just rubbing it across the top of the ground, thinking, well, I'm doing this and I'm not getting anywhere, no one's listening. So a bit like a little child having a tantrum for sweets. No point in smacking him, is there? That's a silly thing to do. Stand still. Stand still. That's a silly thing to do, to smack a child, you know, and especially if you do it out of temper or frustration with them. That's a waste of time. If I was getting frustrated now, I'll tell you exactly what I'd do. Ree would go to his head. Ree would jump up in this position and take over. If I was getting frustrated anyway, because that's no good. The day I'd do that with them is no good. They're not going to listen to you anymore, or you're going to make a... Because it's like if you tell a child bedtime is 6 o'clock, they've got to go in at 6 o'clock. And as long as both parents say 6 o'clock, or both carers, whatever you got, say 6 o'clock is bedtime, and they both stick to it, you've never got a problem with a child going to bed, because they go to bed at 6 o'clock. And it's the same with everything. You do your homework before you go out and play, or whatever rules you have. You can't keep changing them for a child, or certainly can't change them for us, because this world ain't their world, is it? They don't want to live in this world particularly. He'd sooner run from here to Scotland, and the only thing stopping him is a river, a forest, a swamp, you know, mountains or something like that. And let him roam where he wants, poo behind him and eat the fresh grass in front. You know, lay down when he wants to, sleep when he wants to, get up when he wants to, go and play with his mates when he wants to, breed when they want to, and that's their world. Why would they want this? So our job is to make them as happy as you can. To do that, they've got to have discipline. This is discipline, and this is the difference. It's not corporal punishment, it's discipline. He's finding it hard to cope with, but he will cope with it. And tomorrow, when we bring him out and we come back to the gateway, he will start all this nonsense again, but he'll remember, oh, they're not going to give up. So that's just... He's done a minute. Oh dear, that's a shame. Stand still. Stand still. Hey, you do. Stand. So now I'm communicating a little bit. Don't mean to say he's going to listen to me. I'm not claiming that, you know, his master's voice or some bullshit like that. He ain't going to listen to me, but he might do. He might start to listen. But if I'd have started telling him, stand still when I tell you, shouting and hollering, that would do no good at all. And if you control them with fear, i.e. the fear of getting a smack with a whip or a stick, and ain't no good. One day you'll pay for that, make no mistake. One day. So every time he does this, we start the clock again. I don't know how. I should have one of them stopwatches that you push, you know. But yeah.
Choo in the wall.
Yeah, I've got Aaron down there, but we can't worry about that. So as you can see now, the rear end stopped. We've still got the paw in. The back leg's coming up. We might get a little bit more of that, but I think so particularly. But we'll get plenty of this. I'll dig this hole here and go under the gate, he's probably thinking. But and the other thing is to say to you, if, and please don't think I'm being big-headed or anything, but if I'd have had these from youngsters, you know, from like 18 months old, obviously not to drive them, but a lot of people send young horses here, you know, like at 18 months, year old, foals even, you know, off their mum, to make the separation. They send them here, and whilst they're here, you can teach them so much when they're very young. You know, like to lead sensibly, to have the, you know, to have a wash with a pressure washer, to pick all their feet up, to never walk past your shoulder. Yeah, you can do all that easy, you know, or not easy, but you can do that at that time. And then when you get them back, which a lot of do, like a lot come when they're foals, yearlings, come but just for a week or two, you know, they come in and they come back. And then when we get to this stage, we never have this. Never have it. Because they already know that when they're asked to do something, they just do it. Yeah? Because that's our discipline. That's what we want, yeah? Now this is just sheer temper, and it's nothing too bad. You could get another horse, which you'd have to use a different strategy, or sometimes you get it wrong. Like you could get it wrong from the point of view the horse would be, it would be wrong from the point of view that the horse would be so uptight he'd be sweating. Well, that's no good, yeah? But these are clipped out, but he's not, you know, he's just crossed that he's got to stand here, and he's got to do something to make the point that I don't want to stand here. So and people say to me that have been over from, well, some people over from Canada, America and all sorts of places, and this, we'll be doing this particular thing this day, and they say, why don't you talk to him and tell him not to do it? No, because what I want him to do, I want him to decide not to do it because he's not getting his own way. That's exactly the same we do with a child. So I've explained to him, haven't I, as much as I can in the language that we have between us two, that you are going to stand here. All he's got to realise now, if he stops long enough, then the world's a wonderful place, basically. That's what he's got to do. If he stops long enough, the world's a wonderful place. So all I do with the rein is just keep him in that same place. I leave it slack all the time. No point in hanging on to his head, that's just crazy. They don't prove anything at all. Just come round the other side here and film him there. Ree's just come round on the near side of him, but Ree knows the job not to let him see her, right? In case, we've just got to keep the things exactly the way they are. You will stand there until you're quiet, and then you can go through the gate, yeah? And I'm not holding on to his mouth, as you can see. Plenty of slack rein. But he's gradually learning that that's what he's got to do. It's one of the old films there where it's absolutely pouring down. I've got a poncho on and hat on my head, and oh my God, we must have been there, I don't know, 45, an hour, hour and a quarter. but he all stood in the end. But it was absolutely, you know, heaving with rain. So now he's looking back here, look. So before he come round, he bit the harness or pulled the shafts with his teeth, pushed it, done everything he could to, you know, get his own way, but he can't have his own way because this will be the same when we stop at a junction, won't he? When he's asked to stand here, stand. People say, how'd you do it? Oh, I'd always have an older horse. Come over, come over. Well, I'd always have an older horse, you know, that's been there and done it. Well, let me tell you, when we break and train these horses, our babies are as good as 99.9% of older horses. And they'd be trained to a higher standard. I don't mean that any disrespect to anybody else that's broke their own, other trainers, anything like that. But the films are on there to see it for yourself. A lot of what we do you couldn't do with a 10-year-old horse. So stand still. That'll do. So we've got now 50 seconds coming up of standing. He's just stalled, as you can see, but he stood quiet for that length of time now. He hasn't come over, stand still. He hasn't put his leg at rest. But if he'll just give me his leg at rest for, you know, that would be lovely. We can go through the gate. We've just got to have that patience to sit here. So I think we've got rid of the, just left with the head spinning now. Past a minute now, Ree?
Yeah.
What is it, a minute and what, 28? 28. So a minute 50 we're going to get to. So that's 2 minutes now, 2 minutes 20. So we're just going to go for 3 minutes if we can of him standing perfectly still. Hey, now I'll talk to him now, that'll do. Stand still. Stand. So he's now listening to me. I'm getting through to him. So now I can ask him to stop. You've got to leave him something to let the, you know, so turning his head round. But if he goes to strike now, look at his leg, at back. There you go. Up on his toe. His foot's at rest. We've won the day. I don't want to win the day. I want us, all of us, all three of us, me and my mate Ree, and the horse to do it. Can you see? Leg at rest. Accepted the fact. No weight on his mouth at all. Traffic running up and down behind him. and he now is standing quiet. And that'll do, Ree. Open up the gate. Stand. Stand still. Stand still. Camera back up here. So everybody would think that I would let him move away now. Stand still. Established the fact that he's listening to me. He's still. You do. Stand still. Stand still. Stand still. So you see then the gate is now open. He's gone up, but I haven't pulled on his mouth. I haven't smacked him, but I can now communicate with him. He is listening to me a little bit, yeah. So I've told him, you do. Stand still. Stand still. Stand still. Stand. Stand. Stand still. That's it again. He's now standing the way we want. The gate will blow backwards and forwards because that big old signs on the front of it and the wind catches it, but that's a good thing as well because the gate's coming to and then blowing back open again. Now you can see my hands here. He's on the slack rein. If you look down there, that's the second time he's stalled since he's been stood here, so that proves how long he's been stood here. That'll do. That'll do. Stand still. Stand still. Hey. Stand still. We won't be doing anything with the other rules today. Because if we're going to do this, we're going to get, you know, taken up in time and everything. Yeah. Stand! So, as you can see now, he's standing, the gate's open. I'm going to now move him forward about 10 foot, and he's going to stand again. Stand still. Walk. Walk. Whoa. Now, I've got to get Ree to keep the gate. Ree will have to just hold the gate open because she's playing with it. Stand still. Stand still. Still. Stand still. Stand still. There's a ball here, Ree. She just prop the gate open it. Ree's just going to prop the gate open so she can hold this camera, save me trying holding it, right? That's the place. Just push it back a bit more, the gate, and then let it dig in, that's it. That'll hold it now. So, this is what we do here. Now people say, oh, poor horse, but unless we must leave them alone in their wild state, because if we're bringing them into our world, we're bringing them to a great deal of danger. You know, stand still. Just tying them to a, you know, if you think about it for a minute, we tie them to a carriage. That's what we're doing, tying them to a lump of metal with wheels on it and ask them to do all this. Well, he's got to settle down and do what I asked him to do, yeah? But you can't smack him, you can't do any of that. He's got to stand there. So he's crossed now again. So the same thing will apply. He'll stand there. But I can talk to him a bit now, you know, I can say to him, hey, that'll do, stand still, stand still. So you can see he's listening to me. Right, I still ain't pulling on the reins, still sitting here. no, you know, we don't use any whips or anything like that to get him to do as he's told, or big curb chains and great lumps of metal in his mouth. He's still just in his soft rubber bit, and he's standing there, and he look at his leg at rest. So, it's my way of thinking. We've all worked together and we've got to where we want to be. Yeah? So now I'm going to walk forward again, get near his mate but not too near, and then we're going to go over to the far fence and hook him on there to take him out of his harness. Stand still. Stand still. Stand still. So don't pull on his mouth. Show me any time in this film when you see me yank his mouth. Most people would be yanking his mouth with a great curb chain and a lump of metal in. That's not training horse. Stand still. Stand still. That'll do. That'll do. That'll do. Come back. Come back a bit. Whoa. Stand still. Stand still. So before, when he was outside the gate, I couldn't have communicated. I could have talked all the time to him. Wouldn't have done a damn thing. But now he started to listen, I can let him walk on. Walk. And I won't let him go away like that. I've asked him to walk, and he will walk. Walk. So I can't have that. No good. Walk. 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 Walk on, baby. Yes. Walk. Oh. So, that's, stand still there, baby. That's his first time in single, and probably the biggest lesson of his life. This film will be a long film. We'll break it into two, probably from standing at the gate and the first time up the road. Yeah. So, very, very pleased. Now you might say, but he'll only get better from now. Stand still. The other thing is, I will not go, and there's a lot of people would, and I'm not saying they're wrong, but for me, I would not go and reward him, pat him, love him, tell him he's a good boy, because he's been a naughty boy, and he can't distinguish between the two. Once the seconds have passed, the minutes have passed, he's got no comprehension of that, you know. So now he's standing quiet, lovely. Re'll go up and she'll hook him on. I'll just hold this. I'm not allowed to hold these cameras, as most of you know. So there you go. And she'll hook him on. And what I'll get Reed to do is to show you that he's not puffing, he's not blowing, he's not sweating, he's not doing anything like that, but he is standing there quiet. And she'll film me just getting off this car. Sliding off. So a lot of people would come up here now and pat him and give him a fuss. Well, no, that's not what I would do. I'm not saying that's wrong. You must do what you think is right. But for me, you've done as you're told. That is expected of you. So it's not like you need a reward for that. And a lot of people go up and give them a sweetie now or something like that. I don't do that. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's not right for me, and that's an entirely different thing. So it's not right for me. Now he's standing there as quiet as a lamb. Now you could say, well, of course he's going to stand there now. He's in, yeah, and therefore he can go back in his stable. Well, no, that's not going to be the case. What we're going to do is take the other horse out. You know, do whatever we've got to do with him. Go in and put him to bed. Do all of that. Then we'll come back to him, and he will stand here quiet during that time. Okay. She's made the other. Now people would say to me, oh, you should have had a rug on that horse, he stood there all that time. This horse isn't cold. It's quite, although it's a windy, you know, not out in the wind when you're driving along, but at the moment it's quite warm. To touch his body, he's happy. Obviously we put a rug over him. This one here that we've just brought in, he will need a rug. Look, a little quarter sheet he needs laid over his back. But this horse, not quivering, not shaking, not doing anything, standing there. Both lovely boys, both lovely little babies there. You know, real nice horses, gentle, kind, and they're all different. So this this one tomorrow might not decide to dig a hole out the front. You know, this one tomorrow might say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up all the time, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to turn round, or maybe you just stand there, and you just don't know. Personally, myself, I think it'd be as good as gold. You know, that's a prediction anyway. We're filming when we do it.